Hey guys, Rob from Georgia here, and we're going to go ahead and roll on with the second part of the second shelf. And if I kind of fumble my way along a little bit, just forgive. Just got back from a side job, and my head is just wasted. So, anyways, let's knock this out. First one from 1980, slasher, cult slasher. Man, this movie. This movie really tripped me out as a kid. I probably watched it a little too young as a kid, but God, it just tripped me out. Not so much anymore, of course. You know, a lot of times, you revisit things much, much later on in life, and that you just remember being absolutely tripped out, and it just doesn't quite work the same. But it's still a fun movie. Don't get me wrong. Tom Hanks, I think it's his first film. Of course, he did The Love Boat. It's sort of like one of the first things he ever did. But He Knows You're Alone, 1980, an absolute classic. All right, here we go. Some old ones. Most of this section is going to be old. Robert Wise film, The Haunting. Classic, 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 classic. George C. Scott movie here, The Changeling. Just an absolutely classic film. Awesome. But just awesome watching that guy act. Kind of like a documentary, I guess. Best worst movie. Of course, this was one of the ones JP sent me back. I was one of the lucky ones to be one of the winners of the episode 50 contest, the 50 most influential films podcast, and this was one of the ones he sent me. And I do not own any of the Troll movies. And I know this one bases itself off of Troll 2. But this is just a treat, a really, really fun watch. If you have not seen the Best Worst movie, it is definitely worth a view. That is just a lot of fun. Old classic from when I was a kid, The Howling. God, I remember as a kid just being absolutely tripped out by the TV spots that we would see. And when I finally was old enough or whatever to finally see this, it's definitely one of my most favorite werewolf movies, easily by far. Great flick. A couple really old ones here. Of course, the 32, I think it's 32, King Kong. It's my 2-disc collector's edition. This is great to have. It's just loaded. A lot of documentaries and stuff. And it's just great. I mean, that movie is just so... The amount of work that actually went into making this a reality. I mean, stop motion, photography, just everything that went in. It's just unbelievable. Of course, my Kong collection, of course, King Kong again, but Son of Kong. Grabbed this when I saw this just because I didn't have Son of Kong. Fun. Go back to some old ones here. Invasion of the Body Snatchers. We talked about the remake earlier. This is a great movie. Too, when he's chasing cars down at the end. That is just an absolute trip. A great movie. A couple midnight movies. Die Monster Die. Boris Karloff, of course. This is nod to... or a film adaptation, loose adaptation of H.P. Lovecraft's Color Out of Space. That's not a bad movie. I think I picked this one up because Moods had reviewed, I think, It, The Terror from Beyond Space. And I want to say that he pointed out some connections here between that and Alien, perhaps. Same with this next one. Mario Bava's Planet of the Vampires. I know they keep saying they weren't influenced, or Ridley says he wasn't influenced by this film, but how can you... I mean, you watch... There are certain scenes in this movie, and it's just like... It's almost like... I mean, I hate saying that it was lifted, but I mean, it's just close. I mean, the ship in itself, the shape of the ship, and just the first the creature they find. I don't know, but that's a great movie. Another Boris Karloff double feature, Isle of the Dead and Bedlam, whatever, I can't talk. Another double feature here. Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, and of course, who doesn't love them? Young James Whitmore, and of course, an old James Whitmore in The Relic. And so that's kind of a neat double feature to watch them and then run straight into The Relic. Tarantula, another old classic. Black and white from the old days. Those movies were great. Yes, The Birds, Alfred Hitchcock. I was just thinking to myself, the little girl, Veronica Cartwright. It's so funny when you got a movie that has an actor when they were kids, and then you have a movie further on in their career, and you can kind of match them up. Veronica Cartwright, of course, in Alien, and her scream really doesn't change much from a little girl in The Birds to Alien. I don't know, just an observation, but I love that stuff. And some of the old Universal classics, Dracula, of course. I think this one also has the Spanish version, which is kind of neat to watch. I think they filmed the Universal Dracula during the day, and then at night the Spanish crew came in, took over the set, and filmed their version at night. So those actors had to work, all night long, which had to been rough. Of course, The Wolfman, Claude Rains, Bela Lugosi, of course, Lon Chaney. Classic stuff. Absolute classic stuff. Creature from the Black Lagoon. I almost wish, I really do wish I had the Legacy collection for all these, because I know they stuff other sequels and movies, whatnot into them, but that's a classic. But thankfully, even these editions have film commentaries by film historians and whatnot, and so that makes it a lot of fun. And the documentaries are really good. Of course, The Old Mummy, Boris Karloff again, classic stuff. James Whale's Frankenstein, God, classic stuff. Of course, his follow-up, Bride of Frankenstein. It's funny, I was just thinking, it's always remarkable when a director can follow up his work with an absolutely incredible sequel. And I had just seen a review today where they were giving similar accolades to James Wan and his follow-up, his Conjuring 2, which I'm going to see in the theater. So I don't know what you guys think or have heard about that. Another double feature, Frankenstein meets the Wolfman, some of the early Universal verses there. House of Frankenstein, of course. The only one I do have the Legacy collection is, it might be my favorite old film, Universal film, The Invisible Man. I gotta love Claude Rains. I really love watching him in Casablanca. That is one of my favorite all-time favorite movies to watch. Humphrey Bogart and Ingrid Bergman, and that is phenomenal. But this is great, man. The job he does is absolutely insane. And of course, this, you guys probably know this includes some of the other films, including The Invisible Agent, which is Peter Lorre's in that one. That's probably my favorite of the follow-ups. That's a great release. So, one of my favorite movies from the old days. I was gonna say Claude Rains again. He's not in. Boris Karloff. The Old Dark House. James Whale. This might be one of the creepiest movies from the old bygone era of filmmaking. This is just, you think movies that kind of followed each other in a kind of a weird line of genre, and of course, I don't know what would come between this one and Spider Baby, but you go from The Old Dark House to Spider Baby to Texas Chainsaw Massacre to House of a Thousand Corpses. There's this weird line of just bizarre family, people just stumble in the wrong house at the wrong time. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein. Who doesn't love Abbott and Costello? Classic stuff. Young Frankenstein. It's kind of weird stuff, but cult classic, I guess. Or cult fave. For many. The Mad Monster, Glenn Strange. course, Alfred Hitchcock's seminal classic, Psycho. Absolutely awesome, awesome movie that is. Awesome. And I'll end my shelf with 50 horror classics from the bygone era. And got this cheap at Target, $9.99 or something crazy like that. But, you know, I haven't watched everything on here, but, you know, there's a few good ones. Carnival of Souls, I'm pretty sure, is on there. And White Zombie, and just tons. I mean, there's 50 of them. The Terror, the Gorilla, The Last Man on Earth, a lot of stuff on that. And I think I found a sci-fi version of this at maybe it was at Walmart for really cheap too. I didn't grab it, but so that'll wrap up Shelf 2B. And please, this is VHS82 apostrophe. And yes, I'm very tired, and but I'm glad this shelf is done, because the next one I really look forward to that one, and then I can move on to my Blu-ray. So if you liked, hit the like button, leave a comment if you will, please, appreciate it. And as always, just say go Bills.
One of these days, I'm going to punch with him. This is